Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
Welcome to Money Mentors. I'm Laurel Steward here with the wonderful Gerald Green and Jennifer Perry. We're happy to have you with us this weekend in preparation for all things Christmas and holiday season. And I'm still excited and listening to all of the Pentatonics on repeat. It's like my kid's favorite right now. So incredible times. Have you done any?
I like the Dean Martin, the Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
Well, that too. Yes.
Traditional. I'm a traditionalist.
Yes, and White Christmas.
Okay.
Give me that soundtrack.
Burl Ives. Burl Ives is another
Burl.
one.
What a name. I
Burl.
love that. Mm-hmm.
We've got a little bit of that coming up for you today here on Money Mentors. We'll go a little traditional for Gerald this weekend, but I'm with Laurel too. A little Pentatonics mixed in. It's just fine
It's
too.
just incredible what they can do. It's so talented.
All those voices, just melding together. So whatever music you choose this time of year, we hope you're soaking it all in, soaking in the holidays, preparing for all that family time this week and enjoying that time too. And we know it's a really, really busy time. It is for us too here on Money Mentors. And you know, if you've listened to us for years here, it's all about family as well. So we hope you're going to squeeze in all the time you can this week. But remember too, we are here when you're ready to get started. A lot of you are already in goal setting mode. We've seen that over the past few weeks here from our callers here on the show. And if you're ready to get started on some of those goals in the new year, you're thinking about that, thinking ahead, remember you can always go ahead and get on the calendar with us right there on the website at mattsonfinancial.com or talk to one of our great team members during this weekend show at 800-536-8907. It's kind of a little bit of a shock. A lot of us, the years just fly by and you get to certain milestones, and a lot of our listeners are getting to that point where they're thinking about things like Social Security. And so most of you might know that every year, for those of you on Social Security, you get a cost of living adjustment. So looking ahead to 2026, our listeners who are already there, you're going to get a 2.8% increase based on inflation for next year. Yeah, not too much. So
Sorry.
And then we had years where it was like 8%, right?
Well, But it's driven by inflation, but I'm not sure what inflation number they're looking at because things are definitely up more than that.
Much more, right? Yeah. So we know that in our everyday lives, but how much of a raise do you tend to build into the income plans that you help people put together so they can keep up with that real cost of living, what we actually see?
Yeah, it's something that's definitely factored in. When you look at historical averages since they've been recording the inflation number, we're usually between 2 and 3% as a historical average. The difference is we will build it in every year, but what is reality from the chair I sit in with my clients is we set up this great income plan, they get used to it and say it's $2,000 a month or whatever it is. And then we go through, everything's great for a couple of years, they never ask for a raise, and then it catches up. They're like, well, costs are a little higher. They don't initially take an increase in their distributions every year. They may say, let it go for 2 or 3 years. And then all of a sudden, now we're increasing their income by 5 or 6% or whatever that may be to adjust to that because maybe Social Security is going up a little bit. Maybe a pension's going up a little bit. It's just the investment dollars hasn't. But the good thing about that, if they haven't adjusted that lifestyle has been affordable on that income. Well, that's more money that stayed in the accounts and has grown. Mm-hmm. So now we can easily increase their income, and it doesn't change that withdrawal percentage, which is a key component of all the plans. The most common number out there you hear is, hey, you should withdraw 4%. Mm-hmm. Well, that's because most advisors don't do things the way we do. They're not looking at everything that we do. They're not diversifying the way that we do here. And having guaranteed assets, having diversified assets within risk really gives us the opportunity that our clients generally have a higher withdrawal rate. And it's sustainable because of the active management that we have, because of the active planning, the level of relationship and service that we're building with our clients really allows us to adapt and build that plan that's right for them that can accommodate all of this.
And I think that's the difference, too, is when you start meeting with us here at Mattson Financial, we start the conversation around income about what are you currently earning, right? What is the lifestyle that you're used to having? We know once you retire and walk out the door, yes, things are going to change a little bit because maybe you're not driving by a certain place where you stop to get gas in your coffee in the morning.
but those dollars are going to shift to doing something else. And so what we don't want to do is create a plan that you go into just to get by, right? You've worked so hard for all of these years. It's not about just getting by and taking a pay cut to head into retirement. It's about you've worked really hard for these dollars. We need to make sure they're invested to work as hard as you did for them, but also make sure you have a stable income plan that you don't have to worry about when cost of living rises or markets are volatile, that you have to panic and we have to do something totally different, right? That's not what we do. And that's reality. Cost of living is going to continue to go up. Taxes are going to go up at some point. We've got so much debt and things that's going to be due to us, but also market volatility. That's here to stay. We've talked about that for years. So what can we control? How we invest the income, how do we position the assets with taxes, and making sure, like Gerald said, we're managing our relationship really well too to educate you along the way so you have confidence and clarity for all things retirement.
We're going to tell you more in just moments here about how you can sit down and, again, map out your retirement income plan, build in those real cost of living adjustments for yourself over time in retirement. And, here's the thing about building out that plan too. Different people have different goals for what they want to accomplish. And we often hear from people who want to leave something to their kids and grandkids when they're gone. But here's an interesting take on that too from CPA Jeffrey Levine. He tells The Street, when thinking about leaving behind part of your nest egg, maybe think about what you actually need for your retirement first.
And as far as helping your children out, if you get to retirement and you've got more than enough money there, great. You can always help your children. But as they say, there are no loans for retirement, but there are for education. So it's really important when we're thinking about what's the best thing you could do for your children. It sounds a little rough when you say it, but don't be a burden to them. Right? Take care of your own retirement. Make sure that you've done the things that you need to do so that they can focus on what they can do.
Sounds like sound advice here, but where do most people that you work with fall on this issue? Are they hyper-focused on leaving something behind, or do they understand, hey, I need to take care of my own retirement first?
Yeah, this is a common conversation. I have with clients. Some clients are very goal-orientated where they're in their prime working years and they're like, we are not letting our kids take out loans. Like, we will scrimp and save and cut, and like, we're not going to touch our retirement accounts, but we're going to figure out how to help them pay for their college without loans. And that's a huge goal for them. So great. That's a different plan than someone else who says, well, maybe we want to help out. Can we help out? What's the best way to help out?
Yeah.
And that's that specific conversation that I've had numerous times. It's like, there are loans there, right? We got to make sure that you're taken care of first, right? Because your other goal, like Jeff Levine said here, is you got to take care of yourself first. You don't want to end up in a home. You don't want to be a burden. So let's make sure that you're okay first. You can always help them pay off loans later. Once we know we're further down the road in retirement, you can help them pay those off, work it into your income however you'd like. But like I commonly say with my clients is once you give someone money, it's very tough to get it back.
Yes.
Right.
Whether, 100%.
Whether it's a gift, whether it's paying off your house early and something else happens. So maybe you need, so let's put your plan in the best position possible that you can adapt to everything. Because it's, again, my experiences in helping clients is we'll come up with a great plan, we'll do something, we'll execute on it, and then lo and behold, here comes life, throws us a curveball. Now we have to adjust. Are we in a position to easily adjust? Or now are we having to increase your taxes because we're going to take care of it? We're going to make sure it's taken care of, but what ramifications does that have?
And it really does start with that plan, because once you see the income plan and what you're receiving as a client time over time, and then we look at and fast forward and say, here's the end, right? What's left when you pass away and who's getting that? Then once they see all that, they have the confidence to say, okay, we did talk about in the beginning, Gerald, that it is important to leave a legacy if we could, or no, I want to enjoy what we've built and have those experiences along the way. That's kind of the 50-50. But once you have the plan, you have the confidence to then make that decision. And keep in mind, yes, it's great to pass the wealth on, especially efficiently, right, to your loved ones, but it's more than just about money. And that's where we come in. We look with our enhanced planning process at the multi-generational transition. Because yes, you pass wealth on, but it's a tool and you want to make sure that they're using it appropriately. And maybe you're set up really well. We had a client come in and she has, north of $1 million. She's going to be taken care of, has great steady income. And she's like, I don't think I need to make any changes because I have good income. But the problem is if she leaves this world today, what's that tax burden that goes on to her kids? She's not having it, but they now have it. And what's going on in their world when they receive the inheritance? Yeah. So there's a lot of layers to our plans that come into place, but we're a family firm. We get it with multi-generation, but also we've got plenty of families who we have 3 generations of clients here. And so we hope to continue to make that impact here to the community and help your family along, but we can help you plan for yourself first, then talk about legacy or those experiences and how to have an eye on the tax, man or woman, at all times.
So for our listeners, how can they get started on that plan with us this weekend?
Yes, you can be one of the first 5 callers at 800-536-8907. If you're getting ready to retire or already retired, let's have a conversation for you to come in, meet with us complimentary so we can start building your Mattson map, right? We're going to create a plan that supports both your lifestyle today and your family tomorrow.
Well, take advantage of that offer this weekend. A great time to set up that New Year's conversation with the team at Mattson Financial Services. Let's talk about your family. Let's talk about your different retirement concerns there in person. You can get started now at 800-536-8907. Our team stands by and takes those calls off the air during the show. 800-536-8907. Or go online and click that Schedule Now button there at MattsonFinancial.com. But next, the quick and easy aging test that you can do yourself this weekend. May have Laurel and Gerald try it here. Plus, one couple's spending dilemma in retirement. We'll talk about it next year as Money Mentors continues on Wood Radio.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
Gerald, Laurel, Market Watch recently tackled a really juicy question from a wife recently, and I wanted to see how you would answer this one because I'm sure you see this one too quite often. The wife says she and her husband have a healthy $1.2 million saved for retirement. Their house is paid off. They make about 5% on their invested assets every year and get nearly $3,000 a month in Social Security. Now, she's 67, he's 70, and yet she says he will not let her touch any of the $1.2 million. They're mainly just living off Social Security. So she wants to spend some of that money. She wants to go enjoy life. How would you gently perhaps address this with a couple when one is okay spending some of that principal while the other is a little nervous about it?
Yeah, and it's funny, too, because I read a little bit about this, and it says, he's terrified of going broke and doesn't want me just buying stuff. Valid, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where really you listen to both of them and their opinion, and we've played through these scenarios several times. So, Gerald, what would be something you would start off with?
Well, one is just having a question, because if there's a fear, like you said, Laurel, in this scenario, he's afraid he's going to run out of money. Doesn't want the state to decide what type of care he has. He saved money, so I get it. It's a valid concern. But to me, this says that he hasn't really walked through what an income plan could look like.
I agree.
So if here's $1.2 million and the 5% rate of return they're getting is pretty conservative. So I'm assuming they have a conservative risk profile at this point. So now what I would take a look at is show them some scenarios and try and make it as real as possible. So let's take a look at, okay, here's your income right now. Here are your assets. Let's just say in 7-8 years, you need more care. That cost or your expenses go up. But let's just say that happens at the same time the market drops 30%. Now what does your portfolio look like? What are you planning to make sure that when things come up, because these things that come up always happen at the most inopportune time.
Right.
Period. End of sentence.
And not things that you want to spend your money on.
Right. Exactly. So you got to have a plan. Let's walk through it. I'm just going to show them. Yes, here's what income would look like in that situation where you need long-term care and the market's down. Where are we pulling from? How are we paying for it without sacrificing the lifestyle of the surviving spouse. I don't want to have everything spent down for one person in the relationship and there's nothing left for the survivor. So it's about having that income plan and how are you adaptable to all of these life events that are probably going to happen.
We put it into a whole, very robust plan. It's that Mattson Financial Enhanced Retirement Plan. And we say enhanced because it's not just, hey, here's your money, here's how we invest it, here's about 5, 6% or 4% how that looks. We're going to invest it in a 60-40 split. Boom, here you go. Very, very different. We look at everything. We're talking about a 67 and a 70-year-old. So we're talking, I think of Medicare. I think about approaching RMD age in the next couple of years. So how do all of those things come into play too? But we're going to put this in a item by item and year by year, and you get to see. What's really fun about these meetings with the advisors is because they might have a different couple proposed scenarios based on the goals from that first meeting that the clients talked about. But then a client's going to have a question like, well, what happens about X? Great question, client. Let me go ahead and tweak this here. I'm going to pull it up on the TV. We can play around with it. And you can see year by year, based on your life expectancy, what's left at the end. And then that really is where that melting of worry goes away. Like, wow, okay, our income goal could be as high as this or as low as this, and this is what we have left. So it just gives them that peace of mind and allows them to spend the money if they wish. And in her case, she does want to spend some more. He doesn't. So how do we play into both of those scenarios? And by crunching the numbers and showing the plan, allows them to feel that confidence.
Yeah, that makes a real difference. Again, all of us have our own retirement worries, right? A lot of us have our different priorities too, whether we're married, single. I think all of us have some of those nagging questions about whether it's going to work or not. So for someone who wants to get that plan on paper and maybe run through some of those different scenarios so they can see what it looks like based on what they've saved for retirement, how can they get started?
You can be one of those first 5 callers if you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement. It's an opportunity to sit down with one of our fiduciary advisors. We'll have 2 hours dedicated to you for that first meeting. We want to learn about you. What are your dreams? What are your goals and desires? And then we're going to show you how we create this written plan to get you to and through retirement successfully.
You can talk to one of our great team members right here in West Michigan off the air today at 800-536-8907 to set up a time that works with you and your calendar. 800-536-8907. But as we look at that calendar here, I feel like we're hitting that time of year when the clock just speeds up. We kind of rush our way through the holidays starting this coming week. So realistically, is there still time to get some things done financially here, do you think?
Absolutely. There's always time left to tweak the plan that you have and start setting goals for next year. So, for instance, when we look at the market this year, it's been on a great run. So the question isn't, you don't want to just stand back and look at that and say, hey, look how great that looks on paper. What do you want to do with that? If you know next year your income, you're going to need $50,000 from your portfolio, and you've seen that growth in the last 3 or 4 months of you're up $50,000, excellent. Take that out of the market. Why put it at risk? Now you've got your income for next year and it's sitting in, something other than stocks. You made money, so you spent the whole year spending and doing what you want, and you've got the same account balance as when you started the year. Wow, that was tough. So it's a matter of evaluate, constantly be looking and understanding what do you want to do, because that's going to lead directly to what you should be doing.
If you want to schedule that conversation with your money mentors, really easy way to do that is through the website at mattsonfinancial.com. Click that Schedule Now button there, or go ahead and set that first meeting in the new year. Let's talk about things like your portfolio priorities, some of those tax moves that you can make even into the new year as well. You can do that with us at 800-536-8907. 800-536-8907. Pick up the phone and talk to one of our great team members during the break. But coming up here on Money Mentors, you often wonder about what should you do or not do in retirement. We have 4 do's, 4 don'ts, and 1 never when it comes to retirement. We'll get into that next here with Gerald and Laurel, your Money Mentors, after the news on Wood Radio.
listening to the Money Mentors Podcast.
We hope we can pass on some lessons here with you every weekend on Money Mentors. If you're looking for some of those financial lessons to pass on to your family, we know the holidays are a busy time, but sometimes too you find yourself with a little extra time to catch up on some of those priorities that you have. Check us out online anytime at mattsonfinancial.com. You can catch up on our podcast there, sign up for our free newsletter and more at mattsonfinancial.com. Well, this week's list here on Money Mentors comes to us from Kiplinger, and it's a really good one here. 4 do's, 4 don'ts, and 1 never, they say, for those of you who are nervously nearing retirement. So, Gerald, Laurel, these are some really good ones to think about, so I thought we'd go through them here this weekend with our listeners. Number 1 on their list of the do's first. Do know how much income you will need from your investments and when you will need it. I think this is probably number 1 on our list too, right? Retirement's about income flow, right?
Yes, I appreciate it being number 1.
Yeah.
Too, for that reason.
These are some of the first couple of questions I ask clients when I meet them is, how much are you bringing home right now? And I'm not talking about gross. I don't need to know at that point how much you're putting away. I'm like, what goes into the bank?
Right.
Yes.
Because that's what you're living off of right now.
It's the budget word that you're not going to call it that because that's okay.
Right.
But you're right. It's your yo-yo account and things like that.
Right. You're doing what you want to right now based off that money that's coming in while you're working. So that is my baseline today. So if you retired yesterday, then my goal is to create a plan that provides that income throughout your retirement. Now, if you're not retiring, this goes to the second part. When are you going to retire? Give us a plan. We need to know where the end zone is to create a plan, knowing that, hey, it could change, the flag on the play or something like that, or, we get a few extra free yards. There's nothing wrong with that, but we have to have an idea where the end zone is so we can create a good plan and when you'll need it. Because if you're saying, well, I'm living off of $6,000 a month right now, we're doing everything we want, we're saving a little bit of money, well, that's going to be different in 5 years, right? We have to build in inflation. $6,000 now is not going to be $6,000 in 5 years. So what do we have to do in order to generate that same amount of income throughout your retirement starting in 5 years? Because that number is going to be higher.
And the interesting piece about the when is not everybody can speak to, hey, I know in 5 years from now, something's going to happen with my health. Obviously, but that's why your plan has to be flexible. And we're going to build in some of those things too. And one thing to know before you retire, some people might think, hey, I retired, I can start taking money in the next week or 2. Well, sometimes after you separate from employment, whether that's separation, retirement, whatever that is, it could be 30 days until that's available. So these are the questions you need to start asking and thinking about, and we'll help you with to guide you along the way. But another reason why I definitely suggest not going alone.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, thinking through some of the details, not just the numbers, but also the logistics there. Good point there, Laurel. Number 2 on their list here of the do's to think about when you're approaching retirement, do tune out the noise. And I think that could come from different sources, the financial networks, but also friends, family, colleagues, people going through the same things, but they're not necessarily like you.
Yeah, everyone's got an opinion on everything. And I love you can ask 10 analysts what the market's going to do next year, and you'll get 13 different answers.
For sure.
So, and everyone is correct in their mind. And that's just it, is we don't know what's going to happen. There's no way to predict that thing. There's no way to predict what's going to happen with your health or what your expense needs may be, right? We can plan to be adaptable is the key, though, is if we know these things could happen, what is our plan when they do happen? It's that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So when you're talking about that retirement planning and you're getting all of this information thrown at you, well, you got to think about this, and Social Security is going to go away, so don't plan on that. And that, there's just all this noise that everyone is throwing their opinion, and most of it is pessimistic, shall we say.
Sure.
I've been hearing about Social Security going bankrupt for about 25 years now.
Yeah. I don't say if I've been here for decades.
Same
and I
thing
think
with
so too.
They've been predicting a market crash for the last 4 years. Things happen. It's just have a plan, have an adaptability to that plan, knowing, okay, if the market does this, I'm going to do this. Or if my health does this, I've got this bucket set aside for that. Like, talk about it. It's not just the investing part of it. It's the taxes. It's the Social Security. It's the healthcare. All of that has to work together to be your retirement plan.
And there's no one portfolio that everybody should be in because it's the best thing ever. There's no one solution of this annuity is the greatest thing ever because you're going to get this much income forever too. That is not and should not be the solution for a one-size-fits-all thing, right? Yeah. It needs to be a holistic plan. It needs to be tailored to fit your unique needs, your dreams, your goals, and desires. And that's where we start with that conversation here at Mattson Financial to talk about how you should invest, when to claim your Social Security, which Medicare plan to choose. All that noise we will help you with. We'll help craft that plan so you don't feel that side of all the noise and the emotional toll. We want to give you the facts so you can enjoy the retirement that you've worked so hard for.
It's huge when you can tune it out and, again, focus on you and what you're trying to achieve with your retirement. The next do on their list this week is do prepare, though, for the unexpected. But that's the thing. Some of us don't know what the unexpected looks like in retirement. The great thing at Mattson Financial, you kind of do. You've seen a lot of things pop up for your clients. You actually run through some of those worst case scenarios, too, with the people you work with.
Yeah, you've got to have an emergency fund, first of all. Mm-hmm. Like, if I'm building this income plan for you, and we've talked about Social Security and we've talked about the investment strategy to replace and provide that income that you take out of your portfolios, what happens when the furnace breaks? Mm-hmm. Gerald, we need $7,000. Well,
it's not a fun bill, but it's a true bill that's going to come due.
Exactly. So if you have an emergency fund, you can easily adapt to those unplanned expenses, especially if, say the market had gone down for 2 years, like it did in 2008, 2009. We've got this income bucket set for your income for 2 years. But if it takes 2 years to get any growth in the market, you're going to use that up. And if you start pecking away at that, taking more than what we planned for, well, now we're going to have to start selling some things at a loss to give you that income, which is never the hallmarks of a successful plan. You got to have adaptability and you got to have reserve funds.
All right. Good to know there. Number 4 on their list here is do also keep your plan on track. And I think, that might seem a little daunting at times, but you actually help people keep on track while also building in flexibility with their planning too.
Yeah, life changes and my gosh, taxes change every year. Life's going to change every year. Markets are going to change. The economy, all of these things that you don't necessarily have control over. So you need to make sure that your plan is flexible. Yes, it needs to meet your needs, especially your income goals. But aside from that, there has to be flexibility because we don't know if you're going to need long-term care, if you're going to go into a home, things like that. And I think when it comes to having a trusted advisor and a firm there, they should be watching out for you, obviously monitoring your portfolio, but that means communicating regularly with you to talk about what's happening. We talk about our investing philosophy right in the beginning. I know Gerald's mentioned that a couple times in the show to say, hey, what happens when the markets are up? What happens with your portfolio? What about when they're down? What do those conversations look like? You need to ask your advisor those things from the beginning. And then you can see, hey, when markets are up, are we harvesting gains like you talked about? When markets are down, what are we doing to buy low, right? Those are those opportunities. And so those are our fundamentals. So what are your fundamentals with your advisor look like is one thing I would be asking you too.
All right, so we've covered the do's here. We're going to get to the don'ts and the one never, too, when it comes to retirement planning coming up here on Money Mentors. But while we're on the do's, and I know a lot of people want to get started on that type of plan, the kind that builds in that flexibility, the kind that helps them tune out the noise, and the kind, too, that helps them map out what that income looks like over time when it comes to their retirement, and keeps them focused on their own individual goals for retirement. How can they get started, though, on that type of plan with us this weekend here on Money Mentors?
The only thing you have to do is give us a call at 800-536-8907. You can be one of the first 5 callers if you save $250,000 or more for retirement. We'd love to find a time to meet with you here in our office so we can show you why we're different here at Mattson Financial.
In that first meeting, they actually dedicate 2 hours to that process because, again, it does take time to get to know you and what you have in mind when it comes to your dreams, your goals, your desires, what retirement looks like for you. Then you get to talking about the financial pieces and how you want to get started, which piece you want to get started on first. And we make that complimentary for our listeners here on Money Mentors for a reason. We think you're going to like that difference that you experience in person. So all you have to do is reach out during today's show. Again, our number is 800-536-8907. Or you can always go online too, schedule a quick 15-minute chat. Get to know us. Ask some of those initial questions. Find out, what do I need to bring on those first visits? What does that look like? You can schedule that right there on our website using the calendar button at mattsonfinancial.com. Again, that's Mattson with 2 T's, financial.com. But up next here on Money Mentors, more of our list here. We'll get to the 4 don'ts when it comes to those of you who are nervously approaching retirement, and then the 1 never when you're planning for that stage. That's next as Money Mentors continues right here on Wood Radio.
Getting you not just to, but through retirement. This is the Money Mentors Podcast.
We're also spending some time here this weekend on Money Mentors talking about the 4 do's, the 4 don'ts, and the 1 never when it comes to retirement planning. This list comes to us this weekend from Kiplinger. We covered the 4 do's a little bit earlier. If you missed that, we'll share it on this week's Money Mentors podcast. You can find that wherever you get your favorite podcasts. But now let's get to the 4 don'ts here with Gerald and Laurel this weekend. Number 1 on their list here, and this is a big one, especially right now, and especially over these last few years, and that is, don't ignore inflation. Because as we've learned here, Gerald and Laurel, inflation can really eat away at your purchasing power. Your dollars don't stay stagnant over the course of a 30 or even 40-year retirement.
I mean, we've all seen it. We've gone grocery shopping. We've seen the auto insurance rates. We've seen the Christmas presents that we're buying this year, right? Everything is more expensive. It's the cost of what we typically do. As those costs increase, everything goes back to that COVID kind of as the tipping point. Because pre-COVID, there was not a lot of inflation growth. So we didn't see those huge costs year over year. But the downside was people weren't getting very big raises. There was no cost of living adjustments. Social Security didn't really move. And then we get post-COVID and we see inflation of 9% in 1 year. Like, that was ridiculous.
Right?
So,
Thank gosh, that's gone, at least for now.
Yeah.
Again, it's nothing that you can predict, but you have to have a plan that builds in for just the average of inflation, right? Some years we may get 9%, some years it's going to be 0. But if you're not talking about inflation within your income plan for your retirement, it's like you're not talking about taxes either. It's kind of the same thing. You have to have a plan. You have to talk about it and make sure you're getting your returns that are going to at least keep pace with inflation.
That means when you're looking at your income plan with an advisor, you're going to see, hey, my income goal is $50,000 a year. Well, you shouldn't see $50,000 line item or itemized, right, every single year. That has to grow. So that needs to be one thing you need to look at.
All right, good to know. And check your plan for that. Understand what that actual inflation number looks like within your plan. Even if you have a pension or something like that, understanding how that's going to grow with you too. And if you want to talk to your money mentors about that, we'll tell you more in just moments here about how you can customize that strategy with Mattson Financial Services. Next on the don't list here, though, is don't overlook the fees that you're paying. Again, something that can really bite into your savings if you're not careful.
Yeah, I mean, just like inflation, that can deplete a nest egg over time. And there's a lot of things to analyze when it comes to fees, because maybe you're invested in mutual funds. So there's a mutual fund expense ratio. What about 12B1 fees and the annual fee that you're paying? Annuity fees, if you're especially in a variable annuity, those are very high. And then the side of things being the advisory fees. And what about trade fees? So one thing I love about what we've built here at Mattson Financial is our transparency when it comes to fees, is we've got a one approach with that. So we want to make sure that no matter what you're invested in or what we suggest that we're moving portfolios in, we don't have trade fees, because we're here to work in your best interests. And so it removes that completely from the table. But you need to ask these questions to your advisor. And if you're one of those individuals that you just don't know, we're happy to run you a fee analysis as well as a part of our plan, so you can see, how does this all actually look? And, what am I paying for? What is the value and the benefit that I'm getting? That's really the piece to weigh.
Number 3 on their list here. This is important because right now a lot of stocks out there are doing very well. A lot of companies are doing very well. But number 3 is don't chase the sizzle necessarily. How do you evaluate, though, what's hot, what's not, and where people should be positioned?
I haven't heard it called the sizzle.
The sizzle.
That's funny.
Sizzle.
Well, yeah, I think it's, if you think about just the last year, maybe 2 years, everyone knows, say, NVIDIA.
Yes.
You know, that's the company out in the news every night. NVIDIA's up this amount or that amount. So everyone wants that next hot thing. And chances are, when you're hearing about it,
Too late.
It's probably already too late. But that doesn't change your emotional reaction because, hey, NVIDIA is a great company. They've shown a lot of great returns. But let's talk about it, right? There's nothing wrong with taking risk, but it has to be measured. You have to, as with any investment, by having diversification, yes, you can get growth, but it opens you up to more risk. What can your portfolio handle? What is your risk capacity? So if you invested in the sizzle, and what if it drops? And what if that bubble pops and you lost half of that investment? If it went down 50%, would your retirement still be okay?
And that's different if you're in your 30s and 40s, right?
Correct.
That's a different conversation than somebody who's, I'm ready to retire. I don't think home runs and strikeouts is what you're after, right? You're looking for reliability. Who cares if it's boring?
Yep.
You need reliability to know, like you do while you're working. You have this steady paycheck that comes in. So you want to make sure you're looking at investing in companies that have those strong fundamentals, right? They show consistent earnings. You are fully and truly diversified, and it's reliable.
Mm-hmm. That can actually be exciting in retirement. Boring.
Yeah, money is exciting to make sure you have it there. Yeah.
Exactly. And that leads to number 4. And Gerald kind of alluded to this too. Don't get emotional. There's certainly been a lot to be emotional about these last few years. I mean, going back to inflation, I know we've gotten emotional about it here on Money Mentors as we talk about the monthly numbers that come in. But at the same time, I mean, you know, if you let the emotions take over in these cases, you've missed out on a lot of opportunity when it comes to higher interest rates, again, a really strong market despite all the news. So emotions can really get the best of us, though, if we're not careful.
Yeah, make no mistakes about it. The market will have emotional swings. Mm-hmm. COVID, go back to February of 20, between late February and late March. So in a matter of a month, you saw the market drop 45%. But by August, it was back to where it was pre-COVID. So, yeah, there's a lot more going on there, but just it's that emotional reaction. You'll see it in the markets, but you have to rise above that and just, again, long term. You're not day trading for your retirement. You're not in and out every day and looking to make that quick buck. You want to have the nice and steady, like Laurel said. And there's nothing wrong with being invested in a Microsoft or something. Yeah. Are they going to turn heads when the earnings reports come out? Not necessarily. It's not going to turn the heads at any ball, but you know, it'll always be there. It'll be that nice steady rock that you can rely on, and it'll have good years, and yes, it'll have bad years, but generally speaking, you're going to see a nice long-term plan that's going to provide that stability for you in retirement. You don't want emotions to cloud what your investment direction looks like in retirement.
And think about it. If you get out because you said, I can't handle it anymore. I just want out, move to cash. When is the time you're going to get back in? Right?
Yeah.
That's going back to what Gerald said, timing the market. Like, you're probably going to lose at every single turn of that decision. And so that's just a hard place to play.
Yeah. Again, that might even be harder than the decision to get out. When do you get back in? And how many times have we seen that? Yeah, over the years, as people got out, they never knew when to get back in after a 2008 type scenario or that kind of thing. So true.
But I do think that kind of comes back to that investor doesn't have a lot of confidence in their advisor and that firm and the education, because that's not what we see here at Mattson Financial. We see the people calling and being like, blue light special, time to buy, because they get it and they know our philosophy. So if you're one of those where you feel like, I just have that gut-wrenching feeling, maybe it's time for that second opinion.
Yeah. And here's why that investment philosophy is so important too. We finally get to the never on the Kiplinger list this weekend here on Money Mentors, and that is never pursue the hot tip And I can think of so many cases where friends, family, others have given the hot tip over the years, like, oh, I got into Netflix. You got to get into Netflix, Jennifer.
Yeah.
The hot tips never quite work out the way that people intend. And that's the thing. It's just not good to listen to someone else's advice when they don't know you and your financial situation, right?
Right. Yeah. That risk capacity, that risk profile may be different. Their goals may be different. Their nest egg may be different. I have clients that ask my opinion on, specific stocks or things like that. And hey, I'm going to talk to them about how it would affect their plan, right? That's what my clients want to know is like, hey, can I do this? Or I heard this, or sometimes it's not even I heard that. Hey, I've been doing my own research and I'm liking this. Hey, let's talk about it. That's what I'm here for. My job is to give recommendations for you, and let's talk through the good and the bad. So hot tips are great. They may be good for you. They may not be good for you, but it cannot be part of that just one-all-be-all retirement plan.
And can really derail you if you're not careful, too. So we like to customize that advice for you at Mattson Financial Services, help you get started on a plan that's really built for you, your individual dreams, goals, and desires. So for a few of our listeners today, we want to help them get started on that before the end of today's show. So how can they do that with us?
Well, you can give us a call at 1-800-536-8907. We've got people standing by ready to take that call for you. Talk about where you're at in that retirement journey. Let's talk about your tax plan. Let's talk about your investing strategy, what you need for income in retirement, and ultimately what your dreams, your goals, and your desires are.
And all it takes is a simple phone call to get started now at 800-536-8907. Just mention you heard your Money Mentors here on the radio. 800-536-8907. Or schedule a quick 15-minute getting to know you chat. You can even do that into the new year using that calendar button right there online, MattsonFinancial.com. That's Mattson with 2 T's, financial.com. But enjoy Christmas with your family this week and join us next weekend for more lessons right here with your Money Mentors.
And at Mattson Financial, we're here to help you get to and thrive through retirement, achieving your dreams, goals, and desires.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and make sure to check all those twinkling lights, Clark.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Mattson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Mattson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Mattson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.